Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, inshallah, in our recording, we are in lesson number 2 regarding the characteristics of the Arabic letters. And we start Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim wa bis-salah ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa nahmiduhu subhanahu wa ta'ala wa nashkuruhu alladhi hadana lihadha wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Now let us start and continue what we were saying in the previous recording. Now, the letters have characters, exactly like the human beings. They have characters. You know, every single thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created has its own characters. And the letters, they have their own characters. Sometimes we only think that human beings are the ones that have characters, but actually it's not like that. If we have a cat at home, it has a certain character. If we get another cat, it has a different character. And the same applies with every creature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the letters. So the letters have also characters. So what are the types of these characters? There are two types of characters. The characters that has opposite characters and characters that has no opposite characters. What does this mean? It means that, let's have a look here. If we say white, and then I say what's the opposite, immediately we will say black. You know, white color, black color. This is the opposite. If we say sun, the opposite is the moon because of the day and night. Okay, so if we say day, daylight, what's the opposite? It's night. What's the opposite of big or tall? It has an opposite. Small, short. But what is the opposite of the blue color? Does it have an opposite? No. It can't be green, it can't be brown. It doesn't have an opposite. So there are characters that have opposites and other characters do not have opposites. And the same with the letters. Now, we already mentioned these characters when we were talking about the articulations of the characters. So let's have another look at them from another perspective. Okay, these are the characters that have opposites. Sifat laha ضد. Characters that have opposite. ضد means opposite. Sifat is characters. Sifat laha has opposites. ضد. We studied those characters a little bit. We mentioned them when we were talking about the articulations. And why did we mention them when we were studying in the articulations chapter? Is that both affect each other. The articulations and the characters, they affect each other in the way the character and the letter at the end is pronounced. These characters are al-Jahr. Let's start from the left side. Al-Jahr, and that is apparent. Remember, the opposite of it was al-Hams, whisper. They all have alif lam at the beginning because this is the definition form. But we can say Hams, Jahr. Okay, we can do this. So remember when we were experiencing the vocal cords, the letter that had Jahr, the vocal cords would vibrate, and the letters that have Hams, the vocal cords will stay as it is without any vibration. Remember that? And then we mentioned the letters that had Shidda. Here, Shidda. Remember those letters that the exit point closes totally and the sound terminates when the exit closes. And we mentioned that these letters have Shidda, strength, and the opposite was رخاوة, softness. Even the letter, when pronounced, when it's sukun, the letter runs, and this is رخاوة. And there was in the middle a character which is بينية or tawassut, and it's called in between. We also had استعلاء, letters that are elevated, especially those at all times, خصدات قذ, and the opposite was letters that were lowered, استفال. And we also had إطباق, those 4 letters where the tongue closes against the upper jaw, and these were the 4 letters of إطباق, صاد, ضاد, طا, and ظا. And the opposite was openness, انفتاح. The tongue does not closes against the upper jaw, the upper palate. And we have a new characters that we are not going to study in the characteristics because they have to do with علم الصرف. It's like one of the grammar chapters, okay, the Arabic grammar chapters. So, but I'm just going to mention them. Al-Ismat, Al-Idlaq. They do not affect any pronunciation of any letters at all. Okay, so those five couples of characters have opposites. Okay, so let's remember them. Jahr, hams. Shidda, رخاوة. استعلاء, استفال. إطباق, انفتاح. إذلاق, إصمات. Okay? We have to make sure that we remember this important note, that each letter must have 5 characters minimum. No letter can be mahmuz and majhur at the same time. It's either the letter has jahr or the letter have hams. Can a person be tall and short at the same time? No, of course not. It's either this or that. So the letters either has jahr or hams, shidda or rakhawa or tawassut, okay? استعلاء or istifal, إطباق or انفتاح, and the same إذلاق or إصمات, okay? But no letter can not have any of jahr or hams. It's either this or that, okay? So this is why that each letter must have 5 characters minimum of these. But does this mean that there are other characters? For example, the letters can have 6 characters or 7 characters? Yes. Yes. But before we mention the other characters, let us have a quick look again with the al-Jazriya regarding Sifat al-Huruf. Now, why am I repeating this? Because this is, I want you to feel the same that we feel, understanding this, the way that Imam al-Jazri wrote this, those lines, okay? And he said, Sifatuha, the characters of the letters. What are Sifat al-characters, the characters of the letters? Jahr, now we know this, Rakhawa, Warikhun, Mustafil, Istifal, Munfatih, Infitah, openness, and Musmata. So let's go back. Jahr, Shidda, Istila, Itbaq, and Ismat. Jahr, Rakhawa, Istifal, Munfatih, and musmad. These are the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. وَالضِّدْ. ضِد means the opposite. So he is saying the opposite of those 5 characters. And he is going to say them in order. The order that he mentioned is جهر, رخاوة, استفال, انفتاح, ismat. Okay? And he said the opposite of them, of those 5 characters, قل, are. First of all, mahmusuha, those that has hams. And this means that the hams is opposite of jahr. And he mentioned the letters that have hams. فحثه شخص سكت. The fa, ha, tha, ha, sheen, kha, sad, sin, kaf, and ta. These are the letters that have hams. It's the opposite of jahr. Why didn't he mention the letters that has jahr? It's because all the remaining letters have jahr. Because, as we mentioned, it's either hams or jahr. So it was easy to mention the hams letters because they are the short, the fewer, okay? How many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 letters out of the 29 letters that has hams. So all the 19 letters, the remaining letters have jahr. And here he said warikhwun, warikhwun, the rakhawa, shadiduha, shidda, okay? Lafdhu, we can gather them in this meaning, the letters that have shidda, ajid, qatin, bakat. The hamza, remember? Those letters that have shidda, the letters that when they are sukoon, in their makhraj, the sound terminates. It does not keep on going. It doesn't have rakhawa, it has shidda. أجد قط بكت همزة جيم دال قاف طاء با كاف تا. And then he said وبين رخو, between those letters that have rakhawa and the letters that have shidda are lin umar, lam nun ayn mim ra. Okay, so here in the letters that have hams opposite the jahr, the remaining letters have jahr. But in this case, letters that have shidda are so. The letters that have bayniya wa bayna, in between the rakhawa and shidda, are lin umar, and the remaining letters have rakhawa. وَسَبْعُ عُلْوٍ. Here, the third one is mustafil. Those that are lowered, the letters that are lowered. He is mentioning the opposite. عُلْوٍ means they are elevated. Those letters that are high. عُلُّ. عُلُّ means higher. Okay? Those letters that are elevated are 7. The 7 are at all times elevated. What are they? خص, ضغط, قذ. حصر. حصر means collected them, gathered them in those letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 letters that are at all times elevated. علو. What about the other letters? They are mustafil. He did not mention here the ra, not now, the ra and the lam, okay? And then wasadu, dadun, ta'u, dha'un, mutbaqa. He mentioned the jahr and the opposite, ad-did, hams, rakhawa, and opposite, shidda, mustafil, lowered, and opposite, elevated, ulwin. And then he is mentioning munfattih, open, the tongue is open. So he is mentioning the opposite of it. The sad, dad, ta, and the, they have itbaq. Itbaq is that the tongue closes against the upper jaw. Okay? And then he is mentioning here ismat, musmata, and the opposite of it is idlaq, and he mentioned the letters of idlaq, firra min lub. Okay? So these are the lines that Al-Jazri wrote regarding the characters of the letters. Now, the characters that has no opposites, we mentioned now the characters that has opposite, but the letters that have the characters that has no opposites are istitala regarding the letter sad, lin, inhiraf, deviation. We are going to take them, okay, in details, inshallah. Deviation is just the lam and the ra, and it has no opposite character. The ghunna, do you think the ghunna has an opposite? It's a character that has that the two letters have it always at all times, the meme and the noon. But does it have an opposite? No. What about the qalqala? Doesn't have an opposite. Tafashi, spreading of the sound. It concerns the letter sheen, for example. Repetition, takrir, regarding the letter ra, where we can repeat the letter. The whistling sound. Okay, these characters have no opposite. Remember them. They are 8 characters that have no opposite. And inshallah, we are going to take them in details. Now, there are characters also of all these characters that we mentioned that are permanent at all times. They are fixed with the letter at all times. And there are characters that are temporary, that accompanies the letter occasionally. What are these temporary characters, and what are these permanent characters? For example, and there's another Imam called As-Samannudi, and Imam As-Samannudi mentioned also in beautiful lines he wrote regarding the whole of the characters and tajweed and so on, but these are regarding the temporary characters that are not at all times attached to the letter. And he said, idhar. Not at all times the noon, for example, has idhar. Or the meme, or any of the characters, okay? Any of the letters. Idgham. It's a temporary character according to the letter that comes after it, right? Iqlab, qalb, with the letter ba and the noon, for example. And also ikhfa and tafkhim, elevating. There are letters that not are at all times elevated, the ra, the lam. And istifal also, wariqun, ukhida, wal-mad. Not at all times the alif has this 4 or 5 or 6 extension, the elongation. Wal-qasr, the opposite of mad, okay? Ma'at taharruk, with the movements. And also the sukoon. It's a temporary, it's not a permanent. Not at all times the letters have sukoon, okay? And a sect, we're going to talk about it, okay? So all these are temporary characters that we are going to talk about, inshallah. And the last thing I want to mention as a title that we are going to dig deeper into are there characters that, if attached to the letter, adds power to it? Yes. How do I say that this character is adding power to the letter? Or if it's causing less clarity in the letter sound. If the existence of the character causes clarity in the letter sound, then it's a powerful one. And if the existence of the character causes less clarity in the letter sound, then it's a weak one. Okay, it's a weak character. And as-Samannudi, Imam as-Samannudi, he gathered the characters of quwwa and da'f. Quwwa means strength, adding strength, and da'f is weakening the sound of the letter. ضعيفها, the weak characters, the characters that adds weakness to the letter, is the hams, the rakhawa. Being hidden, we're going to talk about it. The lean, the openness, infitah, istifal, lowering. So these are characters that add weakness to the letter. Of course, the letter that has elevation is stronger. The sound of it is more clear. وما سواهما وصفه بالقوة. All other characters apart from these, the 6 letters, they are making the letter more stronger. Okay, but the idlaq, ismat, and tawassut, they are not neither adding strength nor adding less strength to the character, less clarity to the letter. Okay, so this is an introduction, another introduction to the characteristics of the letters, and inshallah we will dig deeper and deeper into the characteristics of the letters. I thank you for your attention and attendance, and I'll meet you in lesson number 3 inshallah soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.